like to turn some time over to Bob, and then we'll respond to your questions.
First off, I'd like to thank all of you on behalf of the families for the tremendous outpouring of support from across the country. It really means a lot to them. I'd also like to ask the media to respect the privacy of the families during this difficult time. I know when the time comes and they're ready, they'll be more than willing to talk with all of you. It's been a tremendously difficult last couple days. Yesterday was probably the hardest day in my life, to have to sit down with the families of close friends and tell them that their husbands and wives and moms and dads aren't going to be coming home. And if you've never had to do that, I hope you never have to. I'd also like to say that the support that was provided in Florida to the families was outstanding. I couldn't be more proud of our team down there and what they did. It went very well from that point of view. And getting the families home here to Houston, where they could have a better support network, went well. We are working very closely with the families. We in the astronaut office, it is our family. And we have assigned astronauts to each of the families as their casualty assistance officers to support them and provide what they need. We're focused on a very difficult time right now, and Ron gave you a lot of details about what happened. But I'd also like to point out that we're still flying in space. We have a crew on orbit right now, and we have a space station on orbit, and they also deserve our full attention to ensure that they have a safe and productive mission. Along those lines, I had a long talk with Sox and Don and Nikolai this morning, mostly with Sox and Don, and I want you to know they're being kept fully informed about what's going on down here on the ground. Mostly it was just sharing. I shared with them. They're grieving up there also, and they feel a little isolated. We're keeping them fully informed, and I told Sox I wouldn't keep anything from him. Anything that I knew down here on the ground about what was going on, he would know on orbit. And I shared the technical details that Ron shared with you, with the crew. And I've shared some other things I'll tell you about. They want to get through this process, and it's harder for them being detached from it in space. But all I can tell you is they are in tremendous spirits. They're proud to be where they are. They're proud to be part of the space program and be contributing to the science that's going on the International Space Station. I shared stories with them about the crew. I talked about better memories, about an on-orbit video conference I had with them, and how happy they were to be there and how much it meant to them to be contributing on this mission. And those are the memories I'm always going to cherish. I'm sure you've heard, before I go on, just from another point of view as far as supporting the crew on orbit, they were very glad to hear about the successful Progress launch, and are looking forward to docking of the next Progress vehicle about 0850 Central Time on Tuesday morning. They're well prepared for it, and looking forward to getting those supplies up there. I'm also sure that you have all heard reports of the recovery of human remains in the debris field. I want you to know that the federal authorities, the local authorities, are doing an extremely professional job in the field, that we have astronauts in the field with them, and that we're treating those remains with the ultimate respect and care that they deserve. And out of respect for the families, I'm not going to go into any more detail than that. I just want you to know that we're honoring our fellow crewmates, and we're taking care of them. And It's a tough time, but I want you to know that we're going to get through this. We're a close-knit group. We're a family, and we support one another. And this is going to pass. We're going to continue to fly, and we are flying, and we're going to continue to do great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Let's see, to give you a rundown, we're going to start here in Houston, then we're going to go to the Kennedy Space Center for questions, followed by headquarters in Washington, followed by the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, and then to Lufkin, Texas, where the command center is located. So those are the sites for questions. As you can see, we have a lot of places to go. I would caution you and urge you to please ask one question. Please don't ask a follow-up. We don't have enough time for that. And if you've already heard the question from someone else, don't ask it again. You're just going to take time away from everybody else. For here in Houston, please wait for a microphone. We have some mic handlers here. State your name and affiliation, and we'll start. Why don't we start right here, Greg, on the front row, couple.
Gene Gleason from Channel 7 in Los Angeles. I know you're looking at flight controls and other things, but is there anything in the activity of the shuttle orbiter that would be consistent with the types of maneuvers you're seeing and the response from the elevon and the heating that would be other than missing tiles?
What's a little intriguing is that it looks like the orbiter is doing just what it should do. It's responding to command. It's maintaining its attitude. A little bit of a drag increase and a reaction from flight control is not alarming in any sense. When you piece it together with all the other events that we've talked about, we believe that might be a piece of the puzzle. But even the trim that I talked to you about and the fact that the flight control system was asking for a little bit more trim to counter what looks like an increased drag on the left-hand side, it's well within the ability of the flight control system to respond to and to react. It's out of family in the sense that we've never seen it to this degree. But it does not approach the limits of saturating the flight control system. So it's an interesting piece of data that's part of our equation, and we're putting it in with everything else we've got to look at, and I think it will help us in the long run. But by itself, it was not tremendously unusual.
If I can follow up. No, you can't. Bill.
Sorry, it's Bill Harwood with CBS. Ron, you carefully led us into the landing gear wheel well with some of these temp sensors and tying the hydraulic system to what you were seeing other places. Realizing speculation is obviously what you're trying to avoid, but just getting me in the wheel well makes me wonder if the temperatures that you saw and the drag you saw, would that in any way be consistent with either a landing gear door coming off or an ET umbilical attached door opening, and have you ruled out any connection with the impact, debris impact from shortly after launch with the insulation?
Well, we certainly know that the wheel well area is one of our sensitive areas thermally. We've analyzed that area intensively in the past, and the loss of any one single tile we believe would not be a cause for loss of a vehicle. In fact, we believe we can lose a tile in different locations, and all by themselves, we don't believe that would represent loss of vehicle. It may represent some structural damage, but not loss of a vehicle. Certainly, as we start talking more about the wheel well area, what's interesting to us about it is yesterday we had indications of the trailing edge, left inboard, left outboard elevon. As we are starting to look at the trail of this wiring as it goes through the fuselage and out to the elevon, it has a common point as it goes adjacent to the wheel well. That's interesting to us. That's all we know today. So as we go through the coming days, maybe I'll get more information to add to this puzzle. I don't have any more than what I told you today. I don't want to speculate any more than the information I gave you. Be cautious. I know I'm thinking the same thing you're thinking, but I can't go beyond that. And I want to be careful that I don't jump to conclusions, because if I do, I'll miss something else that may be very important. So you got the point. There may be some significance to the wheel well. We're going to look in that area more carefully. We're going to inspect vehicles down in Florida. OV-103 is going through its maintenance down period. We may elect to go into the wing and look how this wiring has been implemented in the fuselage to help us understand what 102 looked like, to see if there was any thermal breaches. Would that also affect the wheel well and the wiring? So we've got some more detective work, but that's why I say we're making progress inch by inch.